Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for taking time out of your day to hang out here with me as we're talking Eagles every single day, year-round, right here on the program. As for what we're getting into, I'm going to give you my 5 dream free agent targets for the Philadelphia Eagles. 5 players who I would love for the Eagles to look at and target in free agency, led by Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, and this Eagles front office. Dream free agent target number 1. Let's go to the wide receiver position in Romeo Doubs of the Green Bay Packers. I think the arrow is pointing up for Romeo Doubs. This is a player who's still only 25 years old. He's had 4 years of consistent production with the Green Bay Packers. Where does new offensive coordinator Sean Mannion hail from? Well, 2 years of coaching experience. He's never called plays, but he's been under Matt LaFleur coaching the Green Bay Packers. So you have some scheme familiarity there, scheme continuity, and a player who Sean Mannion is very familiar with. And I think that Romeo Doubs would be a phenomenal wide receiver alongside Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. An issue for this Eagles offense since 2021. The wide receiver 3 position hasn't had great production in Sirianni's offense. And there could be multiple reasons for that. You've had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown since 2022. They solidified themselves as one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. The Eagles have also had Dallas Goedert, one of the best all-around tight ends in the game. They also like to have a balanced offense, and they run it a lot, whether it be Miles Sanders having a career year in 2022, DeAndre Swift having a career year in 2023, or Saquon Barkley having a career year in 2024. But in this Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay offense, we have seen better production than what the Eagles have had at wide receiver 3. And in this new system, I think the ball can be spread around a little bit more, and it can put all these players in a better position to succeed. And Romeo Doubs is no stranger to having really talented players around him. In 2025, 16 games played, 55 catches, 724 yards, 6 touchdowns and 3 drops. That's good production when you think of all the really good players who were on that Green Bay Packers offense. In 2024, 46 for 601, 4 touchdowns and 5 drops. 2023, 59 catches for 674 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 drops. And then his rookie year, 42 catches, 425 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 drops. The drop issues are definitely a little bit of a problem, but Romeo Doubs is a good route runner. He's slippery in the open field. He can make plays downfield, and he knows the ins and outs of this offense that Sean Mannion is bringing to the Eagles. Now, with Romeo Doubs, he is more of a boundary X outside wide receiver. This past season with Green Bay, 370 snaps out wide, 78 in the slot. Some of you might be saying, well, Chase, what does this mean for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? How about putting Devontae Smith in the slot? If the Eagles put Smitty in the slot more and they utilized him like Jackson Smith and Jigba, Smitty is just as talented, if not more talented, than JSN. And Smitty has been underutilized during his Eagles career. Now, he still has 3 1,000-yard seasons in 5 years as a pro. But I think about the ways that the Eagles can find mismatches to exploit with Devontae Smith in the slot against nickel corners and linebackers. He could go off, and that could bring the best out of Smitty while keeping Romeo Doubs outside with A.J. Brown. Dream free agent target number 2, Isaiah Likely, tight end of the Baltimore Ravens. And here's my thinking behind this. Of course, this all comes down to what the Eagles do with Dallas Goedert. Now, Dallas Goedert is older than Isaiah Likely. Dallas Goedert has also had injury problems throughout his career. Because of the age, because of the injury issues, because of the fact that the Eagles could get him at a hometown discount, he might be cheaper than Isaiah Likely. But Isaiah Likely is a fantastic player. And if the Eagles don't bring Dallas Goedert back, I'd love for the Eagles to pinpoint Likely as their tight end for the future. Goedert in 2025, he had a career year. I thought that he was excellent. He was one of the only players who was consistent from week 1 all the way until the end of the season. He finally was able to stay healthy for the most part as well. Targeted 82 times, 60 catches, 591 yards, 11 touchdowns, setting a record for the most touchdowns for a tight end in franchise history. Only had 3 drops. The thing with Goedert, prior to this year, he's been an excellent blocker. Has he had a lack of durability? For sure. But the fact that he's been a good blocker, he's a good pass catcher with reliable hands, he can pick up yards after the catch, he can be a red zone target. That's why he's been, I think, one of the more slept-on tight ends in the NFL. He's also been a great big game performer for the Eagles. 2 more touchdowns in his playoff career when he had those 2 against the 49ers. But likely here is a younger player who doesn't have as much tread on the tire, and he's more athletic than Dallas Goedert. He can really go up and get it, climb the ladder, and snatch that ball out of the air. Now, likely has had some injury problems, but not like durability injury problems like Goedert. I think it's come down to just bad luck for him. 36 targets, 27 catches this past year, 307 yards. Only had a touchdown, but only had 1 drop. And Isaiah Likely is a player where I think that if he were utilized more, if he had more targets, I think that he could emerge as one of the best and most productive tight ends in the game. He's definitely one of the more athletic tight ends in football, but stats-wise, you look at his career numbers, he's never gone over 500 yards. I think that could change with the Eagles here, and of course, the Eagles have a rich history of really valuing the tight end position. So those are 2 so far dream free agent targets for the Eagles here. I want to open up the floor. This is today's pinned comment. Who is your dream Eagles free agent target? Let me know down in the comment section right now. Valentine's Day, Saturday. Have you gotten your significant other something yet? If you drop the ball and you miss the boat, act now, act quickly. Now, your lovely lady, whether it's a wife, fiance, girlfriend, significant other, partner, whatever, may not have been born as an Eagles fan. But since you're a diehard Eagles fan, she's married into this now, just like you're married to the game, being an Eagles fan. So get your shirts or your sweatshirts or both right now, chatsports.com/EaglesVDay. Of course, they're not going to arrive in time for Valentine's Day, but it's the thought that always counts. Comfort Colors Edition on the sweatshirt, by the way, such a great material. Married into this Philly football, Eagles Now gear, chatsports.com/EaglesVDay. I got my shorty a shirt and a sweatshirt. Chip got his shorty a shirt and a sweatshirt. Join us and get your girl something great for Valentine's Day as well. Dream free agent target number 3 is Trey Hendrickson, pass rusher for the Cincinnati Bengals. And of course, we've talked a lot about Trey over the last couple of off seasons as a potential trade target. But now we're talking about Trey Hendrickson as a free agency option. And for me, this would be a dream scenario if the Eagles could sign Trey Hendrickson on a short-term deal. If they could get him for like 1 year, $15 to $20 million, given how robust the pass rusher market is, that would be a fantastic deal for the Eagles. And I think that his market has taken a little bit of a hit. There's a little bit of a dent in it because he's an older player who's coming off core muscle surgery this past year with Cincinnati. That's why he only played those 7 games and had those 4 sacks. But in 2023 and in 2024, no player in the National Football League had more sacks than Trey Hendrickson with 17.5 in each of those years. Plays the game the right way with a great motor, team captain, great locker room fit, and I think that he could pin his ears back, really get after the quarterback, and thrive in Vic Fangio's defense. Sticking with the pass rusher position, what if the Eagles could just bring back Jaelan Phillips? Now, the Eagles are not going to sign both Phillips and Trey Hendrickson. They would have to sign one or the other. So this comes down to your preference and, of course, the Eagles' preference. I do think that Jaelan Phillips, because he's younger, will, though, be more expensive than Trey Hendrickson. And prior to the salary cap going up, it's estimated to increase to more than $300 million. I thought it was going to be hard for the Eagles to retain Jaelan Phillips, even though he does have an injury history for himself. He tore his Achilles and ACL at the NFL level. He medically retired from football when he was in college. But Vic Fangio wanted him for a reason. Vic Fangio pinpointed Jaelan Phillips as the guy who he wanted Howie Roseman to target at the NFL trade deadline. And Jaelan Phillips helped this defense turn into one of the top defenses in the sport. He was tremendous for the Eagles. In only 8 games with Philadelphia, 28 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, 4 PBUs, 1 forced fumble. He also had like more than 30 or 40 pressures with the Eagles during his Philadelphia stint. Bringing him back from a scheme continuity standpoint makes a lot of sense, but that contract is going to have to be structured in a way where if he suffers another bad injury, the Eagles can finagle themselves out of it. Lastly, at the cornerback spot, how about Nahshon Wright, cornerback for the Chicago Bears? Nahshon Wright is a very interesting player. He is lengthy, he is long, he's very athletic. He's got a knack for making plays on the ball. And I thought this year, after his career got off to somewhat of a frustrating start, he turned himself into a really good player for Dennis Allen. He had 3 TFLs, but he had 11 pass breakups and 5 picks. He also helped to force 2 fumbles. So he generated 7 giveaways just by himself for a Bears team that was an elite team this past year of manufacturing turnovers. Nahshon Wright also had a pick 6. I believe that was in week 1 against J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings. He allowed a completion rate of 63.9%, did give up 7 touchdowns in coverage for 725 yards. One of the reasons why I like him, though, the knack for making plays on the ball. But I think that Nahshon Wright can be an excellent fit with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and he's not going to really break the bank. His career got started with the Dallas Cowboys, couldn't really find a groove. Then he went to Minnesota. I was excited to see him play under Brian Flores, only played in 1 game. But there was something that clicked for him this past year. 1, he stayed healthy. 2, I think the game slowed down for him a little bit. And with that wingspan, he's able to put his mid in there. He's able to come up with some pass breakups. He was the player who ripped the ball away from Jalen Hurts on that Black Friday game when Hurts tried to run that tush push and he fumbled. So this is a tall, lengthy cornerback opposite of Quinyon, alongside Quinyon and Coop, who I think would be a really good fit for the Eagles scheme. And he's a player who's not going to be overly expensive. So for Howie Roseman, he's looking at a player who could give the Eagles really good value, really good play, and he's not going to break the bank. Let me also give you a bonus player. I told you I was going to give you 5 guys. Let's go with the 6th. But it has to require Mekhi Becton getting cut by the Los Angeles Chargers. Mekhi Becton is a player who should have never left the Eagles. You know, he had a good year 1 as a rookie with the Jets. Then it was a very frustrating tenure with him for that Jets organization and him. He goes to the Eagles. He turns into one of the best guards in football. A lot of Saquon's success in 2024, leading the NFL in rushing yards, having one of the best seasons ever for any offensive skill player, was running behind Mekhi Becton. And I thought that Mekhi Becton made Lane Johnson better. He made Cam Jurgens better. And what happened to Cam Jurgens in 2025? He was awful. Tyler Steen was a fine player. Just, he wasn't Mekhi Becton. So if Becton gets cut by Los Angeles, they want to cut bait for a deal that didn't work out for Becton or the team. I think Howie Roseman should act very quickly, keep him at guard because he's a road grader there, and he can get this run game going again. Don't forget to give me a follow on social media, X, Instagram, TikTok, at Chase_Senior. You can also find me on Facebook, Chase Senior Chat Sports.